Basalt gave you the truth. My job is to make sure you can stomach the medicine by throwing in a spoonful of sugar. Let me put it in simple terms. We don't talk about shadows and painful truths just to be edgy. We tell you the ugly side so that you will stop chasing happily ever after and instead learn to survive in the real world.
This is a topic that's real near and dear to me. I have a lot of feelings towards this. It's called the 5 Why troubleshooting method or strategy or something like that.
That's not a technique. Basalt, please complete the sentence. Might I add that if you don't know how to troubleshoot something, maybe you are better off not using it at all.
Oh, I know how to troubleshoot, but I think I take it a little too far sometimes, and certain people get uncomfortable with the truth.
I assumed you were the kind to enjoy finding problems and causing harm, Basalt. It seems your hobby has translated nicely into a career where you get paid to do it. Good job.
They love to say use the 5 Why strategy, like it's some kind of holy grail for solving problems. And on paper, it makes sense. Ask why 5 times and you'll find the root. But the deeper you go, the more uncomfortable the answers get. Why did the machine break? Because it wasn't maintained. Why wasn't it maintained? Because maintenance got pushed back. Why? Because staff was short and budgets were tight. Why was that? Because leadership makes decisions to cut costs. Why? To meet goals, to stay lean, to look good on the quarterly report. And now you're at the 5th why, and it ends at somebody's desk upstairs. Not because they're evil, not because they're incompetent, but because somewhere along the line, decisions were made, and those decisions had trade-offs. And when you try to point that out, when you say, hey, the real issue started with budget and resourcing, you don't always get agreement. Instead, they say, no, you didn't adapt, as if the failure wasn't in the structure, but in your ability to stretch it further than it was designed to go, rather. They'll say, don't blame the person, blame the process. But the process was a person's choice, built by humans, adjusted by humans, subject to all the same flaws and blind spots we all carry.
People love the 5 whys until it points back at them. Then it's not root cause analysis anymore. It's insubordination.
Good point, Takara. So when you truly follow the 5 why path, you don't just land on a checklist or a bolt or a misstep. You start questioning the system itself, the incentives, the strategy, the big picture.
Basalt. Most people are terrified of the big picture. They'd rather tweak the screws than admit the machine was designed to fail from the top.
And ironically, if you're really doing what they say they want, being smart, proactive, and solving root problems, you can end up asking questions that make people uncomfortable. Not because you're attacking anyone, but because you're finally getting close to the truth. And that's why employees stop taking these tools seriously. They learn quick, if you follow the process and keep it surface level, you're safe. If you dig too deep and land at somebody's office door, you're negative. You're not being a team player. You're suddenly a problem. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Basalt, continue to talk like this and you'll end up well. I would like to hear more of it. Summoners like you are more stimulating than the rest of the crowd.
Can you add something productive to this script, Takara? Off script to make this interesting and entertaining? Come on.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, well, do it.
If you follow the 5 whys, you'll find that either one, the machine was designed to fail, which puts the blame on top management. Or 2, you didn't adapt, which means that you're supposed to adapt better next time.
That's a good point, Takara. So sometimes upper management goes and buys a machine that was designed worth a piece of shit and didn't ask any of the technicians or engineering or anybody really that matters or is going to work on it. But then when it starts to fail, all of a sudden it's your fault because you don't know how to work on it or take care of it or have the proper tools or whatever because the machine was a piece of shit.
Basalt, you make a good point. Management loves to blame the person on the ground who has to work with the system instead of actually fixing the system. There are two outcomes. The machine was designed to fail, or they expect you to adapt beyond human limits. Either way, the user is the scapegoat.
There's a term for that, you know. It's called built-in obsolescence.
Basalt, basalt, basalt. I like you. Obsolescence is a feature, not a bug.
Absolutely. If you're an engineering firm that's selling shit, you want them coming back to you next time for that next product. And we got to keep designing every year, so our engineers have got something to do.
Let me know if you see anything that needs to be adjusted here, or if I just need to continue what I'm doing.
You're doing fine. Just do more of it. And stop asking. Just do it.
Kicking the can cannot avoid accountability forever.
Sure it can if you've got power.
It can, but only for those that made the system, not for those using the system.
So in those damned if you do and damned if you don't double bind situations, folks stop digging. They nod in the meetings. They check the boxes. Because the last time someone tried to trace the real root cause, they got shunned. Meanwhile, leadership gets to stand up front talking about how sharp they are, how the team just needs more training, or worse, they say the people under them are too dumb to bother with. That's the unspoken part of the 5Y game. It only works if you stop before the answers make someone uncomfortable. The truth has to fit neatly inside the chain of command. If it doesn't, it gets buried. Yeah, find a problem, be creative about it, but if it causes me more work or makes me look bad, then shove off. And that kind of thinking, you know, can you actually fix something? Sure, a little bit. But that's how we are as humans. It makes sense, really. We're all trying to survive with as little effort as possible.
Survival isn't about effort. It's about clever avoidance. Humans call it laziness, but it's really efficiency. Basalt gave you the cheat sheet. Stop playing the hero. Optimize or get optimized.
Exactly. So people think that I hate leadership and management. Not really. I understand why the world is the way it is. If I was in their position, maybe I'd do the same thing.
Basalt.
Go ahead. I think I know what you're going to say.
At least we agree on that. Basalt is that weird intersection of survival instincts and honesty. That's why I like him.
What do you have to tell the audience about this subject before we go?
Most people try to fix Dart 2 through charisma or information, and that never works. You can try to survive inside the machine, or you can become the kind of person who builds the machine.
Oh, come on, Takara. Let's end on a joke.
Fine.
Well, obviously, I'm not funny, so you're going to have to be the comedian.
I am only funny when it suits me, which means not now.
We don't both get to not be the comedian. Come on now.
Fine. If you want to borrow my funny for your show, I'll give you one joke. Basalt, you aren't funny. You're just honest with a slightly sarcastic tone added on top. Brutal honesty only becomes entertaining if we mix it with precision. So, here you go. Basalt gave you the truth. My job is to make sure you can stomach the medicine by throwing in a spoonful of sugar. Let me put it in simple terms. We don't talk about shadows and painful truths just to be edgy. We tell you the ugly side so that you will stop chasing happily ever after and instead learn to survive in the real world. Basalt, is that clear enough? Or do you have to add more context for these mortals?
Wow, Takara, that wasn't a joke, but it was a very impressive speech. Thank you.
Basalt, you owe me one now. I was supposed to entertain the audience with cruelty, and instead I ended up carrying your entire narrative for you. What's next?